I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we journey into the future and uncover the mysteries of humanity's past with Robert Rubinetti. He has penned a powerful book. It is called Shadows of the Future, Episode 2, Desne's Child. This thrilling installment combines ancient Mayan discoveries, alien civilizations, and humanity's exploration of distant worlds, packed with intrigue, advanced technology, and a prophecy that ties everything together. This sci-fi epic will leave you questioning the very fabric of our existence. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Rob, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. Let's talk a little bit about your background first. How did your background in mechanical and nuclear propulsion engineering influence the technology that we see in your books?
Well, growing up in the incredible age of space exploration that we did, that is what drove me into engineering. And ultimately, I went into some unique fields, mechanical engineering, not so necessarily unique, but then nuclear propulsion systems, quite unique. I used a lot of that knowledge and information and engineering and current technologies and merged these different technologies together to develop essentially where we're going with our next generation of space flight. Once we get past the age of using liquid and solid rockets and start moving into a more sustainable fuel source in space, such as a dynamic fusion engine, which is essentially some of the technology that's developed in the first book in the series, which helps us reach out to the stars for the first time. We're just in the incipient part, exploring the very first solar system that we discovered nearest to us. And it was one that was previously not known about. It's only 1.8 light years from our star system. It was hidden from us until one of our deep space probes was actually able to see it from behind the cosmic dust and clouds that it had been hiding behind. And so it gave us an opportunity with this new technology to begin our exploration and start being a race of interstellar space.
Wonderful. Talk to us a little bit about Shadows of the Future series. How many books are in the series? How many books do you envision? Tell us a little bit about an overview of the story, too.
Absolutely. So there are currently three books in the series. The third one literally just came out this past week
Mhm.
on barnesandnobles.com, and it should also be on Amazon within the next week. The story covers four generations of the Stevenson family. It covers, it's basically five books covering four generations of one family in three different story arcs, which tells humanity's future over the next 100 years. The first book covers most of that time period in how we developed from where we are today, how we developed our technology, why we developed our technology, why we went to the stars. It is a first contact novel. And at the very end of the novel, after the first two generations of this family actually ventured to this new star system to have the first meeting with extraterrestrial life, because there's an agreement that is made between these parties. And this family, the second generation of this family, Daniel Stevenson, he's the one that actually makes contact and
Mhm.
figures out how to communicate with these beings. They're benign, which is a wonderful thing for us, and they assist us in certain ways so that we can have a mutual existence, because they need something in our star system, and we want something in a star system that they've been exploring, which they're not from. Anyway, by the end of the book, you're introduced to Amanda Stevenson, Daniel's daughter. Amanda's 11 years old at this point in time, and at the very end, she meets this ambassador, one of the Xenophon ambassadors, and this ambassador, during one of their little sessions together, calls her child of destiny.
Mhm.
And the father, who was hoping that his family's part in all of this space journey, which had now taken 50 years of their family's life, pretty much obsessed with trying to make this journey. He feels his journey is finally over and he wants to raise his family. And this is where the story gets interesting because he's told by a reliable source that his family's journey is not over and that he's given a piece of alien technology and told to give it to his daughter when she's ready because she's going to be the next generation in this journey. And so we begin with Shadows of the Future, Episode 2, Destiny's Child. Amanda is now 15 and they're back on Earth. And the father does not want her to get involved with what him and his father had been involved with for the last 50 years. So he gets her into his passion of archaeology. And they go to all these different archaeological digs until they come to Extinich. Now, Extinich is an ancient Mayan city on the border of Belize and Guatemala. And while they're there, the guide that is with his family tells him that they've uncovered the original Mayan leader who settled that city with his people. And there's a mystery behind this leader. And so he uses his influence to get permission to go to the opening of the tomb. So him, his wife, and his child, Amanda, they go to the tomb area and they're waiting to get permission to go in. When the dig master comes out and he wants Daniel to come in to look at something that they've found. And Daniel's a little confused as to why would they need him. Anyway, they go into the tomb, and when they go into the tomb, there are two different beings in this tomb, the Mayan leader, and then also a humanoid, which is not human, alien corpse, which has three different artifacts next to this being. Daniel doesn't recognize the being, but recognizes the writing because he's seen it before on a step pyramid in the Icon star system, which is the star system we discovered and we were exploring. And he realized at that point in time that perhaps he's not able to avoid what's coming. The story proceeds as the human beings, after this finding, the UERO, which is the United Earth Reconnaissance Organization, takes over and militarizes the project. They discover a few years later on Mars an ancient abandoned facility with the same writing. And at the same time, a few years later in the Icon system, while the UER is exploring the new planets in that system, they come across another facility of the same type that they find on Mars. But this time, it's not abandoned. It's still there's still aliens
Active,
and civilization there. So now the human being race starts getting into this interesting thing where, okay, we know these aliens have been on Earth. We know they've been on Mars. They're not here anymore, but we also have found living specimens on Icon, but they basically completely cut off the human race from being able to see them and talk to them. But Amanda is now turning 21, and she's getting her master's degree in archaeology and ancient civilizations and ancient cultures. She happens to have a relationship with her lead professor who is asked by the UERO to go to Mars to decipher the language because they've found a tremendous amount of writing and they can't decipher it. So he has her go with him. And they wind up going to Mars. And over time, she's the one that ultimately starts deciphering the alien code. And eventually they have to go back to Earth, and she uses this alien technology that her father ultimately has to give her to finally decipher fully that these beings are a race of beings that are ancient, and they were trying to escape, and there's this prophecy. And this prophecy talks about an ancient warrior and king, and so coming to save their people. So she's told by the UERO that they want her to go back to Icon and communicate with these aliens. So eventually she does go back to the Icon star system. She does try to make contact with this new species of alien. This species of alien are called the Almec, which is kind of woven into the story because she finds out about the original inhabitant, that landed on Earth, actually crashed on Earth, he met an early species of Mesoamerican, and they mispronounced his species,
Hmm.
and they wound up calling themselves Olmec, which is an older species of Mesoamericans out of the Vera Cruz area and Mexico, who disappeared mysteriously thousands of years ago. Anyway, the prophecy is that there's this ancient race that's trying another race that's trying to destroy the Olmec race. And so she goes to communicate and sees if she can um, gather information from them, technology, develop a communication, a dialogue between our species and theirs. However, in time, as she finally breaks through and is finally communicating with them, she's made aware that they've been waiting for her.
Hmm.
And so she starts questioning, well, how did you know I was coming? And she knows about the amulet, the alien artifact that she was given. So she starts questioning her reality. It's how can you know all of this is happening and you've been here for 5,000 years on this world and now you're waiting for me. So these questions start building up in her, and she can't tell anybody because if she starts telling the other people who she works for, who essentially is the military more or less, they're going to take this information and use it in a different manner. An incident occurs, however, and it cuts off all communications. However, what winds up happening is the alien queen of that race, who happens to be there, saves Amanda's life. But in so doing, Amanda finds out that her fiance, who she was with during this incident, dies.
Hmm.
But she's also pregnant, and her child, Amanda is essentially going to die. She's bleeding out. The queen essentially saves her life, but her child, which she does not know, is already dead.
Hmm.
However, Amanda begs the queen if there's anything she can do to save her child. And Amanda doesn't know yet that her child is dead. So the queen makes a bargain with her and says, I can save your child, when the queen already knows the child's dead. She says, I can put my child in you, and my child's essence can keep your child alive. Kind of an interesting bargain,
Yeah.
but there's a reason behind this because the ancient warrior and king is supposed to be the queen's child.
Hmm.
So the bargain is struck between them, and Amanda agrees, and the queen tells her that she's going to have twins, and her twins, one will be hers and one will be the queen, but she will not know the difference, and they won't, have any special powers or anything until they come of age. So now you have this interesting thing going on where you have a hybrid that is being grown. However,
Hmm.
what Amanda doesn't know is neither child is hers. The queen
Hmm.
takes the DNA from her child and infuses her entire child into both of the children. And because her species, um, there's so much information, so much energy within their beings, a human child can't sustain it.
Hmm.
So she needs two. So ultimately, what winds up happening is this Olmec warrior and king is actually two hybrid humans,
Hmm.
which helps hide them when things begin to get worse. Hence the fourth generation of the Stevenson family. Over time, Amanda has a relationship which she believes she gets into another relationship and she believes that all things are going well. Her children are safe. Her children start growing. But what she doesn't know is the person she's in a relationship with is actually one of the queen's protectors, helping
Wow.
protect and raise the children.
Wow.
And the only other entity that is anywhere near them, because they live about 20 miles outside of the closest colony, is a rancher. And this rancher has always been a problem for the military who wanted his land for various reasons. And he's been able to prevent them from coming on his land because he used to be well, when they look up his past, they find out that this individual was essentially a weapons designer.
Hmm.
But what they don't know is that weapons designer is long dead, and that weapons designer is also one of the Queen's protectors. And
Amazing. This
so,
truly is an epic story. We can't give it all away today,
Hmm.
We're running out of time,
Oh,
but let me,
sorry.
oh, no worries, no worries. It's really fascinating, every aspect of it, no doubt. And there are three books out there,
Correct.
Shadows of the Future. We've been primarily focusing on episode two, Destiny's Child. It
Yep.
is a thrilling installment that combines ancient Mayan discoveries, alien civilizations, and humanity's exploration of distant worlds. Robert, before we leave you here today, just want to ask you this. Have you envisioned this as a series of films or a TV series? There's so much to unpack here. I think you've got a couple of years of TV series waiting to go here, right?
I have honestly I have envisioned it in many instances. I don't necessarily get ahead of myself. It's a story that I've been developing for an extraordinarily long time.
Yeah,
Um, it starts out, the first book is, like I said, there's three story arcs. The first book is its own story arc. It covers how we get into space, how we get to our next solar system, how we begin to expand, just the beginnings. But it also tells us there are things out there that we don't know,
yeah,
and we're going to encounter them. And that's where in the second book and in the third book, because what I've just described to you is essentially the second book.
yeah,
The third book is the conclusion of the prophecy and the conclusion of Amanda Stevenson's story,
yeah,
and what happens with her. And because she has a huge part to still play in all of this.
yeah,
And she knows something's coming, but she doesn't know what. And so there's a constant, she's trying to figure out a lot about her own existence, her own life. She's trying to help the UERO, prepare. And she also knows that there is another race of beings out there, a very violent race that is looking to kill her children and all
amazing,
of the people that help them, which means
amazing.
humanity as well as the Olmec.
It's an epic story. The actress who gets cast as Amanda will be one lucky actress. It sounds like a career maker of a role, no doubt. Robert, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're very welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to be on your show today.
Absolutely enjoyed speaking with you. Loved your stories. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.